join me at 1:30. I'm going to do a live watercolour class on painting autumn leaves. So I'd love you to join me. I'll see you then. Hi everyone. Not sure whether I'm live, but anyway. Today I'm going to show you how I can paint these beautiful leaves. I just went out into the garden and I just couldn't believe the beautiful colours on the leaves. So I thought I would do a little live lesson just to show you how easy it is to do it. Now another good thing is having a sketchbook, and as you can see I have so many different little exercises in here that I did, and they're really lovely to sort of go back and look at, also to get inspiration. So this is one I've been working on the last week or so for my other online classes. So you can sort of see, it's not a very expensive little sketchbook, it's only little, what brand is it? Quill, there we go. So it actually accepts the paint quite well. Some of them don't. Some of them are far too absorbent, but yeah, that's just some little twigs and that I did yesterday. That is a practice wreath, just painting it in Japanese brush stroking. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move the phone down and do the, there we go. You see the leaves here? So I love these too. You see these are amazing. They sound like a musical instrument. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is just show you. I'm just going to do a few things in this little diary and pick one or two leaves just to, yeah, just show you how I paint them. So I'm speaking with Jenny and Kate. So I hope you enjoy it. I might have fun drawing it up in pen first. I'm fairly confident, of course, with drawing lots of different shapes, but I find if you put it down on your little pad like this, it's a lot easier to just copy it immediately. I'm not doing it in a very heavy style. So I'm just drawing around the edge like so. Just do a bit of a suggestion of a line going up the middle. But the easiest way of being, who am I speaking with? Hi, Carol. So, I have a palette here. It's very messy, but it has all these yummy colours in that I can use for all these different leaves, because you can sort of see all the beautiful colours in there. I tend not to clean my palettes too much because I like to use all the colours that I can find. So with this one here, what I'm going to do is just wet it. The pen is waterproof, and I can see in this leaf lovely golden yellows and oranges and reds. So I'll go with I've got my green plate here. I'll go with my yellows. It's getting a little bit cold up here. So dropping in the yellow there. Hope you can see, because all I can see is just the names on the screens, which is lovely to see everybody. I hope you're still painting, Carol. So now see how I'm just dropping these colours in, and because they're in a wet shape, they're not going out here onto the dry section. So I did a yellow first and then a nice sort of vermilion colour, orangey colour. The other colour I love using is, that's a nice leaf colour, is Australian Red Gold, which is an Art Spectrum colour. So I'm just dropping that in as well. And you just leave it, just let it sort of do its own thing, and it just sort of mixes beautifully. It's nice too when they're nearly dry, sort of putting a little bit of flicking on with a toothbrush, you get some nice marks here. This is a nice one here. So it's got yellow on it and a few little brown flicks. So I'll draw him up very loosely. Again, just placing it, just doing a really light outline. How's everyone going in this terrible lockdown? I tell you what, one good thing is that I'm learning, because I'm having to sit still for once, I'm actually doing things like this that I've always wanted to do but never had the time. So I'm actually doing quite a few detail paintings as well, which is, for students that know me, it's not like me, but I'm thoroughly enjoying doing them. So this is just a little rough outline of this, I think it's a liquid amber leaf, just to show you. Now I'm just going to quickly wet that one, and I mean obviously you draw these with a pencil, but I just thought it's a lot clearer for you to see them. Anyone can do this, you don't have to be a good watercolourist. So I'm just wetting that, and I'm going to put yellow ochre, a little bit, try that colour there. Again, just wetting it. It's got a few little dark brown bits. Just put those along the side. So again, the fact that I'm working wet into wet, Carol would remember this, it's a lot easier to get the paint to move and do its own thing. Whereas if I was doing them, which I will do a few on dry just to show you the difference, it's just a little bit harder. You need a little bit more skill to make it look pretty good. So I just have to have time to get down to the art shop. I'm running out of paints big time here. So I've got Kate, Jenny, Carol. Carol just said to me she loved doing her leaves. They're great, aren't they, Carol? It's a great way to just get back into them, into painting. You know, if you're feeling a bit daunted or you haven't got the inspiration, this is the little exercise to do, Carol. So you have to do some and show them to me. Just dropping in a few other colours. I'll just see if I can find my toothbrush. I did have it here yesterday. Actually, I'll get some inks too here while I'm over here. Oh no, the toothbrush is missing. I'll use this. Carol knows that a toothbrush is great for flicking on colour. I've got these inks here. They're yummy to use. But I've got the gold here, and it's got little drops on it. So it needs a bit of darker brown, as you can see. Just pretend that's a watercolour painting. Hi! For some reason we have to do this on an iPhone. So I don't have the screen capacity. So I'm just getting a little bit of gold. Oh, that's right, you spill it, Di. And I can either do this, but that's a bit meticulous there. I would rather flick it on, or use, as I say, use a toothbrush is really good. So I'm just going to squeeze out some of this gold here. And actually this one might flick quite well. You just sort of flick it on. Yeah, there we go. Doesn't matter if it flicks all over the page. See the flicks? Looks quite pretty. This brush here that I'm using is called a fat liner. And it's gorgeous for just dropping in little bits. See along the edge there? See how that has the darker bits? So I'm just dropping it in. I'm up at Emu Vale, so it's getting a bit cold up here now. Now this is really, really wet, so a really good trick to do. Rather than having to paint in all the veins, you just dig your end of your brush in like that. See how the little veins are starting to appear? I'll just see if I can show it to you. And then there's a few little side veins. So what's happening is it's actually damaging the paper, which is fine, and causing little grooves, and the paint is running back into those grooves, and it stays darker. Actually, I'll just have to put a bit more water on that. Feel free to ask me any questions, or if you want me to demonstrate anything in particular. So I think that looks really nice with that. Can you see that? I can't tip him up, he's a bit wet. But yeah, I'll run a little bit. And that one there is the leaf at the top. Actually, I'll dig the vein in that one as well. So that's doing those two leaves there. I'll show you how I can do bigger ones. I'll get some. Carol, you'll need to get your inks out. Actually, I've got to start on this one here. So I have here an orange ink, a gold ink, and I'm going to get yellows. They're the colours that I'm using because of the autumn leaves. So I'm just getting a few inks from over here. I got these inks from the Art Shed. That's a new line, and they're really cheap. So look, they're quite watery, but they're quite lovely. They look like mixed watercolour already, whereas these ones here are quite expensive. But what is it called? Ecoline. So let's do one more of these little ones. This is beautiful, this leaf. I've got all these leaves on the table. So which ones do I want to do? This is gorgeous. Look at this one. So, just showing you the rough shape, just like so. So this time I'm just drawing it in pencil very softly. You don't think there's much colour in them when you look at the leaves on the ground. When I first walked out and looked at the trees, I thought, oh, they're all brown. But then when I had a really close look, sure enough, there are some beautiful coloured ones there. So now I'm just doing the little edging. See how it's got the lovely little scalloped edges? So I'm going to try and do these little demo live classes every day from now on, seeing as I've just learned how to do it. So please spread the word, and yeah. So this will. So I've drawn it up, and now I'm going to just use ink. So I'm going to use those two colours. I'll show you this. This is a very watery one, but it's really quite pretty. So let's wet it. And there's a lot of yellow underneath this leaf. So I'll use the yellows first. We'll just see what happens. So I'm just carefully going around creating this edge here. So again, painting into a wet shape. And because it's sort of becoming winter here, it's not drying so quickly. Carol, I'm having trouble contacting darling Rosie. So if you are in contact with her, if you wouldn't mind telling her about my classes that I'm doing on a Thursday online with some of the students. So she needs to ring me because I can't seem to contact her. She may be away, but I know she would really love to have a painting session with me on a Thursday. So let's try this yellow here. Jackie, hi Jackie. So there's, see, I'm just dropping that in. It won't go out of the. So that was quite a watery mix, but it's quite nice. I think that one's perhaps a bit too. I could try it, but you can mix your inks as well as if they're a watercolor. See, for instance, I think this one here may be a little bit too orange. So if I mix that, I'm just going to mix a little bit of the. I'll just do it over here actually to show you. I can put a blob here, wait on. I need a trip to the art shop. If I put that one there and a little bit of this one because I don't want it to be too dark. And then I'm just going to mix that with a smaller brush just to see what colour I get. Yeah, that's better. That's not too bad. A bit more yellow, I think. This is what I would be doing on a palette, but I'm just showing you. That's better. So then I can just use a bigger brush, it won't be too fiddly. So I'm just picking this up. Just drop it in. Because it mixes with the yellow that is underneath because it's wet. I have to grab it before it absorbs into the paper. I'm going to flick gold onto it as well. It's got a few little bits of brown here and there. Now if I wanted that to spread more, I could just drop in water. It's just bending up a bit. Could move it around. And again, I'll get the leaves started digging in with the brush. They're very fine veins here. Now let's try this gold. Actually, I prefer this one. This is Gold Gouache. I like this better, actually, if I can open it. Nope, of course, it's stuck. Now this is the gold. It's a bit watery, but it's not too bad. So even just doing that. Just flick a bit of it on. Now there's a bleed mark there. If I leave that, that will be quite lovely. That will add a lot of pattern because it all sort of gathers around the edges and so on, creates a little like a little edge, a little lacy edge, because the pigment runs into the drier areas and it sort of backs up, and that's what the line is created from. So just putting in a bit of dark here. You have to remember with watercolours that they dry a lot lighter. So that's the scary thing, being able to paint a lot darker than you think you should. I can just lift here and there. So we'll just see what this one here is like. These, well, this one's drying. Yeah, it's nearly dry. These are the other two. That one there, it's really important to know what stage of wetness that. Now this is really thin paper, so I don't expect too much, but as I say, it's just a little sketchbook. Now I could flick, see some of these have lovely greens in them as well. So I could flick in warmer colours as well if I wanted to sort of give it a bit of life. I don't care about it, I like it going around the outside. Makes a nice little gift card anyway. What's this colour here? So they will run those little dots in there. So I'll just put him aside. It's nice and juicy. And then the last thing I'm going to do for today, but I'm going to try and get on every day, is paint these. Just one or two of them. I think they look like lanterns, don't they? They make a lot of noise. So I'll do these in Japanese brush stroking. And if you have a look at this fabulous brush, that is actually nearly the same size as those. So I could use this brush and just load up all the colours, which I'll do, and just stamp it down. So let's see how we go. Well, there's the rooster, so busy. So what I'm doing here is my messy palette, putting several colours on this brush quite unevenly. We'll see what happens when I stamp it down. So the whole idea with the Japanese brush stroking, which is another one of my online courses, is to learn to be able to paint just very simply with the flick of a brush. So I can just stamp that down. I always mix blues and browns together. I love them. So I'm just going to squash that one down. So see, I'm watching the edge. And look at this very thick brush. I can still get a fairly fine line. So let's do a lighter one now and see what we get. That one's there. So I'll do it the other way now. So you can just point it and then just squash it down. And this is the end of the... See how that's really fine, that line there? Really, I use that as the edge. So it's really important to be able to get to use your brushes in this manner. And yeah. And he has some grooves in him too, so they've got the little compartments. See how quickly I was able to paint these by doing it in the Japanese brush stroking technique. Now if I wanted to do a cluster, I could just even start doing that and squash it down. See all the colours that are coming through? Some are behind each other. Yes, it's very peaceful up here. I do miss people though. So if I used a smaller brush like this, it would take a little bit of work. So, hi Jackie, who have we got here? Lainey, hi Lainey. Hi Dee. I'm just about to finish, but anyway, I'm just dropping in some water here. So I'm going to do these little lessons, short tidbits of bits and pieces that I'm doing huge lessons with. Yeah, just to sort of connect with people as well, and to just, yeah, give everybody something nice to sort of look at. So for you girls that have just joined, I've been doing all these lovely autumn leaves. I'll have a different subject every day. And I've been painting them with, just dropping in with water and dropping in all the colours that you can see. So it's been, yeah, it's been lovely to be able to just do this little exercise. See all the colours in there? It's just gorgeous. So I will say bye. See you tomorrow at some stage. Okay, bye.